Both Meera and I are really into the real world and the riches that the real world can throw up for you if you have the eyes and the ears to see it. Salam Bombay was my first screenplay. In fact, Salam Bombay, like Mississippi Masala, was very much based on research. Actually, we were introduced by someone I know to a gang of kids who looked after the garbage dump. And from there, it was all systems go. Meera and I have a very similar worldview. We find the same things amusing, we find the same things outrageous, and we have a lot of fun when we do the research. So I don't think that I could have written the script without the research and without Meera's being there, because there's a certain alchemy that happens from my point of view when we are together. And so for me, that's the crucial part of the research. And then I think I have a certain talent for, even though I'm immodestly saying that about myself, but I think I do have a certain talent for picking out from the research characters and stories that I can put into the script, which is what happened both with Salam Bombay and with Mississippi Masala.
Your Aunt Rose was telling me why you didn't leave Mississippi.
Yeah? What she said?
She said you stayed on to look after your father.
Yeah, I did.
True?
I ain't no saint. I mean, we got a good business. Ain't no reason to leave. This is a new Mississippi. I like it here.
So Mississippi Masala, I think, was a combination of things. And like with Meera and me, we bring things to the table together and then things happen. So I think what she brought to the table was a real interest in Uganda and the expulsion. And what I brought to the table was the interracial love story, because I had a friend, and I have a friend, a very close friend, who had a boyfriend who was a Jamaican Rastafarian. And at that time, she was the only Indian I knew who had a, African-American black boyfriend. And I knew the problems in her life, and she was darker complexion. So I knew from her experiences the racism amongst Indians, us Indians.
Arey, you can be dark and have money, or you can be fair and have no money. But you can't be dark and have no money and expect to get Harry Patel. Worry.
We Indians have a huge classification system of what differentiates us from the other person. And based on very minute classifications, it could be forbidden or taboo or whatever. And of course, we have caste in India. It's not just color.
Yeah, can you imagine dumping Harry Patel for a black?
I'm sending my Namita to India as soon as possible. Hey, Jaya, they get ideas from each other, and then it spreads like a disease.
When Meera started with the project, the central question is, where is home? And I think what the central question became with the script and the film was, do people stick to their own kind? Because for me, that is the central question of the film. Jay has not stuck to his own kind in Uganda, and he has suffered for that. His daughter is not sticking to her own kind. Demetrius is not sticking to his own kind. So for me, personally, that is the central question of the film. It all kind of fit in very well because Uganda is also about race. Before I came on board, I think Uganda was the main emphasis and the focus, and the father was the main character, and I kind of changed the emphasis. I felt that centering it around an interracial love story would be the best thing, because I felt that modern-day Mississippi was really exciting to explore. So the storytelling hurdles were huge because I was, I had to write about 2 continents, 2 time periods, create these different worlds of Uganda, of the American South, motel owners. So it was quite a process getting it right.
You ever been to the bayou?
So Meera and I made 3 trips. The first one was to the American South, where we met all the motel owners. The second trip was to Kampala and Uganda. And the third research trip was specifically to Greenwood, Mississippi, after the script had been written, for me to make more authentic what I had written about the African American communities. There are tons of things that I put in from what happened to us or people we came across. Our first day from New Orleans, starting our research, we got rammed at the back by a car. Or did we ram someone? I don't remember if we rammed someone or someone rammed into us. In any case, Meera, I think, was bleeding. And I was talking to the guy who had come to tow us. His name was Baba, I remember. And that's how Meena meets Demetrius. And it's all thanks to our accident.
Do you know what your friend's done? He's just sued Anil for $50,000. Pack your things. We're leaving Mississippi.
I also had heard from a friend, an Indian friend, how a friend of his had been forced to marry someone for fear of being sued. And suing is such a big thing in America. And I think we Indians are so terrified of being sued in America that it all tied in. And that's the incident that propelled the story. Our first research trip in the South was only to meet Indians. It wasn't to explore the African American community because till then the emphasis was not on the African American community. So we met, if I remember right, a couple called Jay and Varsha who owned a liquor store. It wasn't an easy life, that I remember, but it was a very communal existence. They all looked after each other. Newcomers were looked after by the people who are already established. 32 years ago, we only found one Indian woman who was married to an African American. Of course, now that must have changed, but at that time, there was nobody.
I had to tell my parents.
We were at Myrtle Beach, and by chance, we met, I think it's serendipity, grace, whatever you call it, we met a carpet cleaner, African-American man called Demetrius Fields. And we got talking to him, and that was our Demetrius. Before that, Meera had an idea of having him be a preacher's son who's in a theater group, and I frankly never liked that idea too much. And for me, this was perfect because it fit into the whole motel story. He was a real person. It was about him owning a business. This was the new Mississippi. So Demetrius we met. And then Mahmood, Meera's to-be husband, who we met in Uganda on our research trip. He inspired the main character in the sense that he was such a Ugandan in the sense that he was so integrated. He didn't stand apart as an Indian only fraternizing with Indians. He was a person who had grown up amongst, the blacks of Kampala and Uganda. He had a very strong connection to them. And so the main character of Jay was, in my mind, very much modeled after Mahmood's love for Uganda and Ugandans.
Meet our J-Bhai. In Uganda, he was the champion defender of blacks. But the same blacks kicked him out. Right, J-Bhai?
Cruelty has no color.
So we had some very memorable experiences doing the research, all of it which in one way or another kind of made its way into the script.
Daddy, I didn't do nothing wrong.
Mr. Morgan helped you get that loan to start up this business. Now, how am I going to show my face around them after this?
Denzel brought, huge gifts to us. First of all, his presence in the film. I mean, what a gift that was, and how ecstatic we were when he said yes. The other thing he brought to it is that he really took an active part in the story and the script. When I met him briefly in New York the first time, and he said, first of all, why would I fall in love with an Indian girl?
Hot and spicy.
And secondly, why would I just run off with her? And I kind of thought and said, because sometimes people can do together what they can't do alone. And he said, okay, but I got to see that in the script. And he said, Sooni, don't make him an intellectual. Make him a homely guy. And that really worked for me because I had created Meena as someone with a very tight family. I had created a family of the three of them within a sea of Indians who are not like them. So that worked really well to have Demetrius have a family that kind of paralleled Meena's parents. He said, you know, do a Sunday dinner, create a world of Demetrius. He said, it's not about screen time. I always used to show whatever I wrote to my agent, Brad Gross. And of course, the script went through many drafts. And so one of the earlier drafts had Meena and Demetrius coming back from Biloxi, running over a white kid, cops coming, getting into a lot of problems, Meena being rescued by her Indian, relatives, and Demetrius getting it in the neck. Now, Bill read it and said, Sooni, it's a cliche, it's been done millions of times before. And so I took that to heart, and the end is what you have now, which is a boycott by the Indians of Demetrius's business, which is actually much better. It doesn't come from your old equations of black and white. It fits into the story, which is about, the parallel streams of Indians being exiled by black Ugandans and coming to America and actually being one step above local African Americans in the color hierarchy.
All us people of color must stick together.
That's right. Because you and your brothers, y'all done all right by us, and me and my brothers, we're going to do sure enough all right by y'all.
United we stand. Divided we fall.
That's right. Right on, brother. Power to the people.
But again, it's not your conventional script. As I think it was the New York Times review said, it dawdles along, then it hurries up. It's kind of idiosyncratic. But that it worked ultimately is thanks to Meera's magic, to the actors, to the team, to the people we met on research. And I always feel that it's a unique story because it is really based on reality and based on real people that we met and interacted with. It's not a figment of our imagination. It's not some theme that we wanted to explore. It really, the script grew out of a very real milieu and real issues and real people.